In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. This section is all about the holy month of Ramadan. At the end of the previous section, we touched briefly on the public symbols of Islam. Now, in this second part, we're going to dive into the wisdom behind the most brilliant and magnificent of those symbols, Ramadan itself. Think about it. There are so many signs that tell you a town is Muslim. When Ramadan arrives, you see people fasting, praying the special night prayers, reciting the Quran from start to finish. It shines brightly, doesn't it? Now let's be clear. We fast simply because God commanded it. That is the reason. But that doesn't mean there aren't countless benefits and wisdoms hidden in it. We're going to explore those here. I want to bring in a thought from the previous section regarding these symbols. When we pray in the Fatiha, guide us to the straight path, we are actually asking to join a massive, luminous caravan. I'm talking about the prophets, the truthful ones, the martyrs, and the saints of the past. They are walking down that main road toward eternity, and we are following in their footsteps. That prayer connects us to them. In religious law, some rules are personal, like which side you sleep on or how you eat. Those concern the individual. But other practices are public. They belong to the entire community. These are what we call the symbols of Islam. Things like congregational fasting or prayer belong to everyone. Because they are public property, no one has the right to mess with them. Disrespecting them is an offense against the rights of all Muslims. These traditions form a chain of light stretching all the way back to the Prophet's time. Anyone trying to break or distort these public symbols, and anyone helping them, needs to realize what a terrible mistake they're making. They are opposing a massive community spanning centuries. If they had even a grain of sense, they'd be trembling at the spiritual weight of that. Now, looking at the ninth point here, in religious law, some commands are pure worship. That means you do them simply because you were told to, not because they make logical sense to you. The reason is the command itself. Other things have a clear rationale, but even then, the real reason we do them is God's command, not the benefit. For example, on a journey, we shorten our prayers. Why? Because God said so. Sure, you could say the wisdom is that traveling is difficult. But if you travel on a luxury plane with zero difficulty, you still shorten the prayer. Why? Because the command is tied to the journey, not the difficulty. Let me give you another example to clarify this. Someone might say, the purpose of the call to prayer, adhan, is just to tell people it's time to pray. So why don't we just fire a gun or a cannon? That would do the job. That person is missing the point entirely. The adhan has thousands of purposes, and notifying people is just one of them. A gunshot can't replace the spiritual proclamation of God's greatness and the declaration of faith that rings out over the city. The adhan proclaims the very purpose of the universe and humanity's creation, to know and worship God. A mechanical noise can't replace that act of worship. It's the same with fasting. You can't just say, oh, I'll just go on a diet, and expect it to replace the spiritual act of fasting. The form matters because the lawgiver set it that way. So let's begin the treatise on Ramadan. This section covers 9 specific points explaining the wisdom behind this holy month. First point, Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It is also one of the greatest public symbols of the faith. Essentially, Ramadan is about the revelation of the Quran. The Quran was sent down in this month, which is why we fast. But let's look at the first wisdom concerning God's Lordship, His Rububiyat. God has turned the entire face of the earth into a banquet table. He has laid out every kind of provision in a way we could never expect. This demonstrates His perfection, His mercy, and His compassion. However, In our day-to-day lives, trapped in routine and blinded by causes, we often fail to see the provider behind the food. We forget who set the table. But during Ramadan, the believers turn into a disciplined army. Towards sunset, you have millions of people sitting at their tables, hungry and thirsty, staring at the food, but not touching it. They are waiting for the command. They are waiting for the buyurunuz, the invitation to eat. That attitude, waiting for permission, is true worship. It acknowledges that we don't own this food. We are guests. It breaks the illusion that we are independent. By waiting, we respond to God's grand mercy with a disciplined collective act of submission. Think about it. Physically, a human being is weak and small. But spiritually, we are vast. We have infinite desires and the capacity to encompass the whole universe. We are like a seed that contains the blueprint of a massive tree. Fasting helps us realize this potential. It shifts our focus from the physical food to the provider of that food. It helps us break free from the animalistic need to just consume and elevates us to a higher state of gratitude. If a person doesn't join in this collective worship, this shared honor of being a guest of the King, are they really living up to the name human? We are meant to be seeds for the eternal world. If we drown in the details of this temporary world, we rot like a seed in the mud. But if we look up through worship and fasting and connect with the eternal, we grow into something lasting. We become fruit-bearing trees for the afterlife. May God grant us a Ramadan where we don't just go hungry, but where we truly connect with these deeper meanings.